In September 2020, the mayor of the city of Antwerp launched a large-scale operation called Night Watch to contain drug-related violence in certain sensitive neighborhoods such as Borgerhout and Doorn. This decision follows a series of grenade explosions and gunfire incidents that occurred during the summer of the same year. Initially, the media mentioned the name of Mohamed RC, alias the Algerian, as a key actor leading to the making of this decision. After escaping from the clutches of kidnappers attempting to abduct him, the Algerian allegedly gave the green light to a series of attacks during the summer as a form of retaliation. Although his associates were involved in violent acts in June, another significant figure in Antwerp's criminal milieu emerges in August. This person is Mohamed LH, who henceforth cannot escape the attention of the police. Let's go back to the year 2015, when everything is still relatively calm in Belgium, particularly in Antwerp. However, the situation takes a crucial turn on June 19th, when the police conduct a check on a suspicious car in the parking lot of the City Inn Hotel in Borgerhout. Inside the car are 3 individuals, including Abdelkader Bouka, alias the Jew, and his alleged right-hand man, Mohamed LH. What catches the police's attention the most are 10 sports bags containing 322 kilos of coke, estimated at a market value of 15 million euros. A rather delicate situation for the operational team, with investigators believing they work for high-ranking figures in the drug mafia in the Netherlands. The loss of the drugs is an inherent risk in this business, but what is more intriguing is that, after a few weeks, Abdelkader is released, despite having a criminal record. Indeed, he is known for having shipped ecstasy pills around the world, in collaboration with an Israeli clan. So, his release raises many questions in the underworld. Some think he could be a police informant, but regardless, something doesn't seem clear. To simplify the story here, Dutch drug lords demand repayment of the 322 kilos from Abdelkader, which he refuses, claiming that the police had been on the trail of the shipment for a long time, and it's not his fault the sports bags were confiscated. Such things do not happen without consequences, and the patience of the Dutch drug lords runs out. They then hire 4 French gangsters to settle this matter. Thus, on July 7, 2016, despite several escape attempts, Abdelkader is finally kidnapped near his home in Antwerp and locked in an apartment in Brussels. According to the press, Abdelkader's passport is deposited in the mailbox of his right-hand man, Mohamed, in Borgerhout, as a way to inform him of the fate that seems reserved for his boss. Apparently, Abdelkader's family receives help from Mohamed, who then contacts the kidnappers. Negotiations for the ransom begin, and sums of several million euros are mentioned as payment demanded by the Dutch gang. However, all this does not seem enough because no sign of life from Abdelkader has been given since. Some people in the underworld claim to have seen a video of Abdelkader being dissolved in hydrochloric acid, but it is equally possible that he is still alive, hiding under a false identity to escape the heavy sentences that would weigh on him. Whatever the truth, our interest now logically turns to the story of Mohamed, who himself becomes a target since Abdelkader's kidnapping. A few weeks later, in December 2016, unknown individuals shoot at the facade of his parents' home in Borgerhout and also throw an explosive nearby. A second incident occurs in February 2017, when the same house is again targeted by gunfire, presumably using an AK-47 assault rifle. The reasons for these attacks remain unclear, as is often the case when the Antwerp underworld is involved. Mohamed's freedom, despite his arrest in the car during the check, caught in the act, is mainly justified by the slow legal proceedings before their conclusion. For information, a few years later, he will finally be sentenced to 3 years in prison, a conviction related to this drug shipment, as part of the highly publicized Antwerp case, known to the public as Makreel. In 2020, several years later, Mohamed remains active in his professional career and raises suspicions regarding his presence in the heart of Brazil, where he continues to manage his affairs. His gang includes his right-hand man Khalid and the latter's brother Ibrahim S. It appears that they enlist the services of Patrick L., the owner of a fruit import company in Antwerp, which is supposed to serve as a perfect cover for an upcoming cocaine delivery. On June 2nd of that same year, 2020, Belgian customs checked 2 containers, which had just arrived in Antwerp, from Brazil, having stopped in Morocco. In addition to normal products, investigators discover 685 kilos of white powder. At this point, they decide not to intervene immediately, choosing instead to let the protagonists retrieve the cargo shortly afterward, presumably to transport it to a warehouse where the police can then intervene. The pawns are thus arrested, constituting the first piece of the puzzle, to which soon many other pieces are added, notably through access to messages from the Sky ECC network. These messages reveal that Mohammed is the client for this shipment. He will be subsequently sentenced to 8 years in this case, while Patrick will receive a 6-year sentence. However, Mohammed, also known under the alleged pseudonym El Toro on Sky ECC, does not stop there after this seizure. A conflict erupts in Antwerp in August 2020 against the group linked to the LB family, infamous in the drug world, several members of which have had frequent legal troubles. It is worth noting that one of the family's sons, Samir, had moved to the Netherlands after being convicted of drug trafficking. It is also there that he is liquidated at the end of 2017 in Rotterdam. A few months after this liquidation, his sister's car is severely damaged in Doorn, a district in Antwerp, during an explosive attack. Now it is the 2 brothers, Munir alias Gino and Ilyas, who are in the sights of rivals. During the Sky ECC investigation, investigators managed to read discussions from various criminal groups, including that of El Toro, attributed to Mohammed. It is at the end of July 2020 that a discussion erupts about the failure to recover a cocaine shipment for which Mohammed and other investors have enlisted Munir's team. An investor mentions ordering 65 blocks and wants to retrieve his money, while another investor doesn't need any explanations from Munir, who failed in the extraction, as he wants to take immediate action. Munir himself allegedly suggested finding a solution and even proposed traveling to South America to negotiate. However, Mohammed's entourage opts for reprisals rather than consultations. Mohammed thus calls on his right-hand man Khalid, who in turn contacts an Antwerp criminal, Radouan K., nicknamed Soldier, as well as Munir T. The team creates a new discussion group on Sky ECC called Grupo Plus Antwerpen, whose messages leave little to the imagination. One of the individuals reportedly sent,
"Monjo's army is ready."
According to the court, the unknown Monjo would be a Dutch client positioned 1 level above Mohammed in the structure. One of the messages mentioned,
"Empty your magazine at the door and take a photo as proof."
In case of doubt about the target's identity, a message clearly states,
3 guys need to be in the air: Ilyas, Jamal, and Munir.
Ilyas and Munir are already known, but the 3rd target is their teammate Jamal J., towards whom the attacks will begin. Khalid transmits Jamal's address in Borgerhout to Radouan.
"The more weapons, the better, even bazookas."
On August 22nd, in the middle of the night, a bullet goes through the front door of the house associated with Jamal in Borgerhout, where an elderly couple resides. 2 days later, a grenade explodes in front of an empty pharmacy on de Grispierstraat, which turns out to be a mistake. This confirmation is followed by a 3rd attack, for which the attackers return the next day, to fire 11 Kalashnikov shots at the facade of the house right next to the pharmacy, belonging to the LB family. Another mistake occurs, as this house is occupied by an Afghan family with young children. In fact, this family had been renting the ground floor apartment for some time, feeling finally safe compared to living conditions in their home country. By miracle, the daughter of the family, who had just come out of the toilet, escaped death.
She dove to the ground in the hallway and heard bullets flying around her ears. "We have only been living here for a few weeks and don't have beds yet. We were lucky. If we had been in a bed, the bullets would have certainly caused casualties."
As far as Mohammed is concerned, the man hiding in South America, particularly in Brazil, makes a mistake by making the decision to go to Spain. Local police arrest him in Malaga in December 2021 and send him back to Belgium, where various cases await him. In connection with the attacks case, he is sentenced to 7 years in prison, although he denies being the Sky ECC user, El Toro. The same sentence is pronounced for his friend Khalid, while 2 executors receive 6 years each. Munir LB does not enjoy a good reputation in the underworld, often associated with different losses and cargo thefts, leading to frequent attacks on residences linked to his family. It is crucial to understand that his group specializes mainly in extracting drugs from containers upon their arrival in the port of Antwerp. Corrupt contacts are necessary to go unnoticed. For example, during the years 2020 and 2021, Munir's presumed right-hand man, known as Ignace C., was in constant contact with a corrupt employee working within a maritime company, sharing confidential information. Her name is Khadija EY, calling herself Tokyo on the Sky ECC network, in allusion to the character in the Netflix series Casa de Papel. Her goal is to search for containers that could be used to store drugs and provide access PIN codes. She charges 10,000 euros per container, a situation that is repeated several times. All of this satisfies Ignace, who, as a reminder, has very limited legal income while driving a Mercedes registered in his mother's name and wearing luxury watches like Rolex or Patek Philippe. Not surprisingly, Ignace is sentenced to 9 years, while Tokyo receives a 6-year sentence. It is clear that pawns are quickly arrested on Belgian soil, while the 2 LB brothers pull the strings from Dubai, knowing that they face long sentences before a Belgian court for trafficking several tons of cocaine in the country. We often talk about the notorious figures of the Antwerp underworld, but there is also another family in conflict with Munir, the R family. The key character in this story is Abdennour R and his brother Azzedine from the Doorn district in Antwerp. The spotlight was directed at this family when a series of attacks targeting their family home on Bisschoppenhoflaan Street in Doorn took place during the summer of 2021. One of these incidents involved a small dealer from the Netherlands operating on behalf of a rival Dutch drug gang. Unfortunately for him, after having completed the attack with an automatic weapon in front of the house of the R family, he loses time finding his getaway car due to an oversight, which ultimately leaves him with only little time to escape. He is captured and is currently serving a 5-year sentence. It quickly became apparent that this is a drug-related conflict involving Abdennour while he is on the run at that time, eventually being incarcerated. During this period, his brother Azzedine takes over, in collaboration with his friend Jawad M. Both primarily operate in the lowest link of the drug logistics chain, dealing with a few hundred grams rather than tons. Both manage a cocaine package delivery network to various clients in Belgium. Jawad oversees the couriers, while Azzedine collects the money and handles transactions at an address which is only a few meters from their home, a rather unintelligent decision. Meanwhile, Abdennour remains active from prison, where the police later detect a phone. To their surprise, investigators discover that Abdennour was searching the internet in 2022 for a house located on Deglimanstraat in Doorn, which turns out to be the parental home of Munir LB. Additionally, the individual calling himself Shadow, a pseudonym attributed to Abdennour on the Signal application, sent photos of luxurious trips to Dubai and offered Mohammed D a paid job of 5,000 euros. This job involves throwing Molotov cocktails at the LB family's house. The attack takes place during the summer of 2022, and the attackers even film themselves carrying out their mission. Miraculously, the residents were on vacation in Morocco, and no complaints were filed. During the trial, Abdennour explained that he had thought that the previous attack on his home had been orchestrated in the name of the LB family, which had led him to respond wrongly out of panic. However, another hypothesis emerges because during this period, a real manhunt is launched against Munir, especially by major drug traffickers willing to pay dearly to cause him trouble in Antwerp. A photo circulates, showing his face with the caption "Thief," and a reward is offered for any information about him. After being the target of 2 attacks on his home shortly before the Molotov cocktail incident, Munir was forced to hire tough guys directly from the Netherlands to ensure security in front of his house at night. The amount of €500 per night per guard is mentioned. It is essential to understand that attacks in Antwerp usually occur when drugs are lost and are intended to serve as a warning and explicit threats. In the case of the LB brothers, who are on the run abroad, the situation becomes increasingly dark, also from the justice's perspective. Munir's brother, Ilyas, is arrested in Dubai in November 2023, but it remains to be seen whether the extradition to Belgium will take place, given that it is often complicated with this emirate, known to be favored by criminals seeking refuge.